Okay, I'm back. Now, if I can get my phone to stay put. Video 2, which is the main video that I wanted to get done for today, is, my coming out story. Quite the lengthy process, I do have to say. Stay. And of course, let's do it like this for now. Okay. Well, first, all started in middle school. Was 6th grade. And of course, at that time, I was 12 going on 13. Yeah, I was 12 going on 13. And started noticing how much I liked guys with a bit of a more muscular build. But I'm sure my religious upbringing, which, by the way, 6th grade I also more or less said, fuck you, Christianity, I don't believe in you anymore. But yeah. Anyway. Let's get some music going. Try to anyway. But anyway, I had, like I said, started noticing guys with a bit more of a muscular build. And, well, at the time, in large part because of my religious upbringing, probably, had just... Okay. Hold that thought. That window's really fucking with my light. Okay, much better. Anyway. I had just, more or less been telling myself that, yeah, I have this fascination with guys with muscles, but that's as far as it goes. I wouldn't want to kiss them, I wouldn't want to fuck them. I just like the male body. But yet also knew that I did not want anything to do with women. Never did find women attractive in that regard. As far as, well, I mean, yeah, I'll admit, some women, yeah, they are pretty. They are attractive, but just not to me. And that's as far as that goes. But again, no desire to kiss them, no desire to fuck them, no desire to make babies with them. But yeah, I got tired of that necklace. I miss, random side note, I miss my dragon necklace. Oh my god. But it was on cord exactly like this, with just an easy snap off connection up here. And depending on what I end up doing and the position of that, sometimes it would just come undone by itself. So, finally lost the little dragon charm, which I need to get down to Earth Magic and get me another one here one of these days. But anyway, back to my coming out story. So anyway, like I said, I had this fascination with guys with muscles. But that's as far as that went. And there's this one kid that I worked with that I kind of talked about, probably a little too much. And kind of, sort of, to a degree, kind of drooled over his body, because it was just, oh my god. He was a couple years older than me. But, yeah, in fact, there was one time, this is kind of funny. One time, I had a necklace similar to this. He was working in drive-thru at the time, and it was my day off. I'd gone up, chatted with him for a little bit, and had asked him how big his biceps were. He didn't know for sure, so I figured, I know how big my necklace is. We'll just use that as a basis, and, well, combination of just the size of his biceps and probably, the way he just slid it on. He ended up breaking my necklace. So, yeah. That was kind of funny at the time. Kind of still is. But anyway, the reason why I bring him up is because I think it was around age 15. Now, in this span of time, thanks to my health class, I had managed to get this outline of the male torso for a health class. I think it initially had like the circulatory system in it or something, but anyway, ended up using that as a template to draw the male torso. Added in the pecs, the 6 to 8 pack abs, and everything. Added some jeans on him. But yes, he was shirtless. And had a few of them posted up in my room. And gradually, of course, his muscles got bigger as I drew them. But anyway, and my parents, I don't know what sparked it, I don't know what it was about, but we had gotten into this argument, and somehow, to a degree, he had gotten brought up. And at some point in time during the argument, this is really the only thing I remember other than the fact that we were having an argument, is that I had blurted out, "I'm not gay if that's what you're thinking." So, Anyway, needless to say, was still in denial at that time. And shortly after I had blurted that out, the argument ended. But yeah. Anyway, fast forward to my senior year in high school. I had become friends with this one other guy who had moved up to the area from Fort Wayne. Well, actually Cherubusco, but around the same area. But he had, like I said, become a good friend of mine back in my freshman year of high school. We had worked together for a while also. And it was actually Halloween 2001 that I had told him I wanted to talk to him after work. So he comes outside, and I had made mention to him that I thought I might be gay, because by this time I had come to the realization that I would probably kiss a dude. Still not 100% set on fucking a dude, but a short while after that, like maybe a year or so later, that's 19 or 20, came to that realization too that I would. But anyway, he said he was cool with it, so my very first coming out experience started out actually fairly good. But then some other shit came up, and we had more or less parted ways, and then because of that, one of my other friends had mentioned to me that this was mostly after high school, after we had graduated. He had mentioned to me that, yeah, more or less, this really good friend of mine was a big homophobe. So, needless to say, I'm sketchy on that now. We don't really keep in contact, really at all, haven't since graduating. There have been a couple times I've seen him around town, and once or twice I've actually delivered pizza to him. Civil and everything like that, but anyway. So, I'm now 20-ish. Basic training. Of course, I keep it to myself, because at the time, DADT was still full effect. And, I myself had finally come out to myself fully that yes, I am gay. As far as coming out to everybody else, not yet. Between being in the Army at the time, thus DADT primarily, growing up here in Northeast Indiana, very conservative. Like, conservative to the point that other than Jesus Christ, they worship Duck Dynasty. Good number of them. So, needless to say, that's more or less where this area lies as far as the whole equality thing goes. But, another one of the reasons why I want to move to Minnesota. Get out of here. Get somewhere a little bit more gay friendly. But, anyway. As far as actually coming out to others, it's been kind of mixed a little bit. First was my co-workers at Cracker Barrel. I love that line. But anyway. Yeah, we'll do this one, because it is a good one. But, anyway, come out to my co-workers at Cracker Barrel. Mostly just in passing, yeah, by the way, if the topic came up. For the most part, with the exception of my parents, that's pretty much the way I've come out to everybody, is just more or less in passing. Just, if the topic comes up, I let them know, yeah, I am. But I don't really make that big a deal out of it. But I've come out to a few of my cousins, one of which actually was more, I had gotten outed by one of my prior co-workers, but she had come up to me and mentioned that so-and-so had said something about me being gay, and she was just asking out of curiosity. No derogatory tone in her voice or anything, just simply out of curiosity, wanting to know. So I told her, yeah, I am. And she was cool with it. And, that's actually also kind of a funny thing, though. Pretty much every single person I've come out to, with the exception of my parents, because they didn't really say it, might have thought it, but I haven't really said it. But other than that, pretty much every single person I've come out to has said to some degree or another, it's not that big a surprise, they suspected it. Really? What the hell? But, anyway. So, I've come out to, like I said, came out to my coworkers at Cracker Barrel first. Came out to my half-brother through my biological mom. Came out to my biological mom. Like I said, I've come out to a few of my cousins. For the most part, though, I still haven't directly come out to my extended family at all, with the exception of my uncle, whom I'm living with. But, yeah. Mainly because of the whole religious aspect. But, anyway. I had met my first boyfriend while I was working at Cracker Barrel through MySpace. I know, old, right? Anyway, and like I said, still hadn't come out to a good number of people, so whenever we were together around anybody that I was related to or knew someone I was related to, he was more introduced as my friend than my boyfriend. But, anyway, shit had hit the fan at one point in time, and That's more or less in order to fully explain the situation as to why I needed to move back in with Mom and Dad. That's the main reason why I came out to them when I did. Otherwise, I probably still wouldn't have come out to them. Either that or I would have only come out to them a year or two ago. Probably 2 years ago when I decided to move to Minnesota to be with my most recent ex. But anyway, so I came out to my parents. Went over a little better than expected, but not much. Pretty much the only way that it went better than I had expected is that I was anticipating full out disownership, but ends up I actually, compared to how it did turn out, I probably would have preferred the full out disownership. Because, well, anyway, I had come out to him, I think it was the letter, actually. Maybe email to Mom, one of the two. But explaining how my first ex and I were actually boyfriends, not just friends, and that, yes, I am gay. Explained a little bit of my journey, mainly bringing back, I think I brought back up that one argument that I had mentioned, and explained that I was still in denial myself at that time. But more or less, I told him that I was gay, and Mom had called me and asked if we could have a talk over at Dairy Queen about it. Okay. And more or less, talk was pretty much how I expected. Was the main points that I remember from the conversation was like how they asked if I was okay with this as far as the lifestyle, and mentioned how they still love me, or I should say based on their actions, they still love me, but because the Bible condemns it, they can't condone it. Okay. Anyway, so, and then, they had also mentioned about how they hope for my sake that I do come around and change one of these days, aka turn straight, for my soul's sake, is more or less where they were getting at. But more or less left it at that. And since then, as far as with my parents, let's see, it's for the most part just been business as usual, I guess. but with little hints of not so much so. Like, for example, it seems a lot more like they are favoring my other two brothers more than it seems like they did in the past. I'm chalking that up to a combination of the fact that I'm gay and not biologically theirs. But also there was one comment that my dad had made that really pissed me off. Like, oh my fucking god, did it piss me off. Even though at the time, as soon as he said it, I chuckled along with everybody else. It was Easter 2011. We were at my grandparents' house for our annual Easter gathering. Grandma had actually just gotten out of the hospital at that time because she had suffered a stroke. And so she had just recently, like literally a few days prior, been released from the hospital. So it was kind of a double celebration, welcome home Grandma, and the usual Easter. Well, it was later in the afternoon. One of my cousins, his son had come up to him. His son being like somewhere between 8 and 12. I don't know. I lost track with all the little ones, like, ages ago. But anyway, had come up to him and told him it was time to go. That Mom said it was time to go, being his wife. And whatnot, and he came up, the son came up again, a short while later, again mentioning it was time to go. Basically, ladies, forgive me, but more or less being like a nagging wife. Which is where this little conversation comes in and plays off of. Because my cousin had then made the comment that he didn't marry one wife, he married 3. Meaning more, he doesn't have what he was really meaning by that, though. Considering how that statement doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, considering the other 2 are his children. There's not one woman in the house, there's 3. Is more or less what he meant. Because, I guess, his other 2 kids take after their mother as far as being the nagging wife. But anyway, then my other uncle, who was sitting to my left at the time, had mentioned that it was probably just a phase going through, yada yada, blah blah blah, he'll grow out of it. My dad then, who's sitting to the right of my cousin, or to the left of my cousin, I'm like, say, here's my cousin, here's my uncle, then I have another cousin here, then on the couch next to my other cousin is me, and then here's the initial cousin, here's my dad. But anyway, while my dad is more or less has his head turned towards my cousin, he's glaring at me, more or less like this, saying it could go from a phase to a lifestyle. which, like I said, pissed me off. Just like, not instantaneously, but like after, like I said, I had chuckled along with them. But after I had finished and the conversation was more or less dead on that topic, I had gone outside for a cigarette. Because, like I said, it did actually piss me off. And I wasn't going to raise hell over it, in part because of what happened with Grandma in the hospital. So, I went outside for a cigarette, and started venting to myself. Yes, aloud. But venting to myself, and it's like, it's not a lifestyle, yada yada blah blah blah. And just ended up, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going back in there. And just walked back to my apartment, which was just a few blocks down the road. Which, speaking of, I do miss my apartment. But anyway, so first time I had ever just flat out left without saying goodbye to anybody. Then again, do you blame me? But anyway, that's the only, I guess you could say, major confrontation we've had on the matter as far as my parents versus me. But as far as the whole feeling thing, like I had mentioned, I had said that based on their actions, they love me. The reasoning for that is because, more or less, I get the feeling that they want to disown me, but there's a little legal piece of paper, actually two little legal pieces of paper, that say that they're my parents. And that's the only reason why they're not disowning me, is because they are my parents, and because of their, I guess you could say, moral obligations as such. But, like I had also said, I would have rather them just actually flat out get it over with than saying this, and yet I'm feeling this. But, anyway, so, but like I had mentioned, I had gone to Minnesota to be with my most recent ex. Things didn't work out. I had to come back home. And had my dad pick me up at the bus station. And then we get back to the house, and first thing I notice is this little snowman that my aunt had made for us like forever ago. I want to say it was actually like 93, 94-ish. It was shortly after my youngest brother was born. But it has my mom and my dad's name on it, and then each one of us kids. Well, while I was gone, I guess, my nephew, being my younger brother's son, who is not the nephew, my younger brother, is actually literally 4 days younger than Patrick. December of 86. But anyway, my nephew had told my mom, or had asked my mom, why his name wasn't on the snowman. Because the snowman's holding up mittens that has each one of our names on it. And he had asked, as cute little boys do at the time. He was like 3, I want to say, at the time. 3, maybe 4. No, 3. 3. We'll just go with that. But anyway, he had asked why his name wasn't on there. And Mom had said something to him as far as why his name wasn't on there. And I guess he kept hounding Mom about his name being up there. So she had taken, I believe it was, a piece of paper. I didn't actually feel around it, so I don't know if it was a piece of paper or if it was actually tape, like either tape or paint. But in any event, my name gets covered up so his name can be put on there. And then this next part was like a few weeks, maybe a month after I had come home. It had gotten really windy, and the cord had snapped on the snowman, so the mittens were just dangling around, and I had brought the snowman in. And Mom had made the comment again about how my nephew wanted his name on there. And she had forgotten whose name she covered up. Gee, thanks, Mom. I see where I rank. First you cover up my name, and then you totally forget that you cover up my name. Thank you. So, anyway. So, fast forward to today. As of right now, sadly, but after the stuff that happened with Tom, who is my most recent ex that I moved to Minnesota for, I haven't told my family about Patrick yet. The reason being is because, okay, I guess this kind of goes along with the coming out thing, but, okay, it's Christmas 2011. At my aunt's house for my dad's side of the family's extended family gathering. It's actually, I want to say, the few days after Christmas. No. Maybe, I don't know. No, it had to have been a few days after Christmas because this was after Mom's side of the family. So it was a day or two after Christmas. But anyway, and pretty much that whole gathering was ruined for me because I guess, of course, with me moving so far away, naturally and understandably, Mom was upset about it and worried for me. But she took it one step too far when she was also letting the whole fact of the reasoning being to be with my boyfriend. bother her. And I guess, apparently, it had shown some of my aunts had asked what's wrong, yada yada. She had told them about how I was moving to Minnesota to be with my boyfriend. And which was rule number one that I told Mom in the letter at the time, 2 years prior, now 4 years prior. I will come out to the rest of the family when I am ready. Do not mention this to anybody. Actually, what does she do? She outs me, more or less. Hence, what I'm about to say as far as where I stand on that with the extended family here in a minute. But anyway. So, the entire time, my one aunt kept harassing me about the move. Telling me not to go. Asking me if I can see what this is doing to my mother. Telling me that my family is here, I need to stay here because that's where my family is. Not to move because of some guy that I need to do a background check on him, yada yada blah blah blah. Really? That's all I have on the matter. Really? So, needless to say, all in all, my mom's side of the family, I guess I've been a little too harsh on them because they've actually been more supportive-ish of me, even though I haven't come out to anybody except maybe one cousin on my mom's side of the family. In general, they've been more supportive of me, and like I said, in general. But yet, in large part, because of Mom, Dad, and then Dad's side of the family being not so much so. Over the past couple years, I've more or less been distant from the extended family. Any family gatherings? Not going. Find an excuse not to go. Usually it happens to work out. I have to work. Perfect alibi. But, of course, with Mom's side of the family, there are two gatherings that I do not have that alibi, and that is Thanksgiving and Christmas, because we're closed. How can I work when we're closed? But anyway. So back to the other gathering. Like I said, got harassed the entire time. Which was actually kind of funny because it was like, okay, really? You do realize that I am moving here within the next 48 hours, tops. Because that's what it was at the time was. I forget what day the gathering actually was. I just know it was either the 26th or the 27th. And I had left in the early afternoon of the 28th from Minnesota. Even though my intended plan was to leave at like 0400, 0500, yeah, it didn't happen. I'm not really a morning person. But anyway. So it's like, you do realize I am actually moving here within 48 hours, and provided things go as well as I thought that they were going to go at that time, you may not actually get to see me again for at least a year or two. Probably two, considering how money will probably be tight for the next year. Thus, I won't be able to afford to come back for the holidays next year. But I guess that didn't matter. Anyway, so as far as the rest of my coming out journey that has yet to be written, um, it's just simply put, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. Just in large part, since all I really have left to do as far as actually coming out is the rest of my extended family, but yet I'm pretty sure in large part because of Mom's big mouth, the rest of the extended family on both sides know. I'm almost certain of it. Especially between my aunts harassing me a couple years ago and my one other aunt on my mom's side of the family with some of the comments that she's made. Granted, her comments are supportive type comments, just simply like asking how things are going, yada yada blah 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 type thing. But hold on. Even though this video's already gone like 46 minutes. I gotta give Straven some shit here. Which I may try to. Nah, not really worth it for the only minute or two that I'm wasting here. I was thinking about trimming. Yeah, not so much. It's another couple minutes. I really hate using this phone, by the way. Old school flip phone. I miss using my iPhone to text. I really do. Come on now. Thank you. But anyway, like I said, just being supportive and whatnot, so the one aunt on mom's side. But still, mainly between those two aunts, and thus, assuming mom's big mouth, I'm assuming the entire family knows. They're just actually not really saying anything or making a big deal out of it, I guess, other than the one aunt because of my move. So, needless to say, since I'm assuming everybody knows now, even though I haven't told them, okay, fine, that actually makes it a lot easier for me, because now I can just go on living my life just like I always do and not have to worry about any special additional things I need to do beforehand or whatnot. So, needless to say, when Patrick comes up here, if he comes up here, hoping he does, But Patrick comes up here, and I introduce him to the family. Just straight up introduce him as my boyfriend. Yada yada blah blah blah. More or less, again, not make a big deal out of it. Just, yeah, that's my boyfriend. And then if they're like, wait, what? Oh, I thought you knew. Or at least suspected. And then that's when I'll actually utter the words, I'm gay. But other than that, just pretty much as far as the whole coming out thing goes, it's just, like I said, as far as I see, not really that big a deal. At least it shouldn't be. But that's a whole nother rant, and the video's gone on like 51 minutes now. And I really suck at trimming and editing and whatnot, so needless to say, I'm just going to leave it as is and hope for the best as far as uploading it before I have to go to work at 5. So, yeah. That's more or less my coming out story. If you've made it to this point, thank you very much for actually bearing with me through the entire video. Even if you fast forward through some of my idle rambles, like getting the coffee and whatnot, but yeah. Anyway, hopefully my clothes are done in the washer now, so I'm gonna go take care of that, have another cigarette, and take a shower, and hopefully get these videos uploaded while my clothes are in the dryer. So, later.